Hello everyone, my name is Rishabh and today in this video about Android, I'll be telling you how to create a login screen for your Android application project. For this video, I'm going to use a simple form containing three fields: the name, the email address, and a password with a sign up button at the bottom. Clicking the button will submit the data to the server, and in turn, some action could be produced. For this video, you can see that as we tap on a field, the hint part of the field moves up, which tells the user what this field is about and what data the user has to input in the field. And similarly, for these fields, I have added some error checking to ensure that the valid data is entered, and if the data is not valid, it will show an error at the bottom of each of these fields, as you have seen in the video in the preview. Well, this is what we will be making, so let's get right on to it. First of all, let's create a new Android project, and I'm going to name it my floating labels, and then we'll click on next. We select the minimum SDK. Well, I'm going to choose the lollipop, the API level 21, and then I'm going to click on next. Select the empty activity uh, because I want to add all these things myself, so that should not be an issue. Then moving on, well, let's first start with the basics. Let's first add all those strings that we are going to need for our fields. Since we have three fields, that means we are going to have three error strings, three hint strings, and a string for the button. Well, if you want, you can hard code these strings, but for as per this standard convention, I'm going to choose uh, the letter. I'm going to go with writing all those strings in the strings.xml. As you can see, I've added three strings for the hint. Also, make sure that you name those errors, those strings as per your requirement, as per your comfort. Uh, After adding those hints, add all these strings for the errors. After adding the strings for the error, make sure to add a string for the button, or if you want, you can hard code the one for the button. And then we are gonna compile the design library if it is not done already, and by default it is not done. So let's go to the file menu, go to the project structure, uh, go to the project structure, and then move on to the module app, and then click on dependencies tab, and then click on the add button. Usually the design library is listed on the fifth or sixth number, so from the top, so you can easily spot the support design library, and currently it is 25.1.0. So in the future it can vary, so that is what you have to add, and be sure to add by this method so that you can uh, run never end into problems with different versions, different numbers. Well, all this is done. Let's click on OK. Click on OK, and the Gradle will sync your project. To close the build.gradle file if you have opened it, and then we are going to go to the layout file, and for this video I'm going to use the coordinator layout as the parent layout, and then within the parent layout we'll have a linear layout which will store all those vertical components vertically. And there is one special component which is the Android support design widget text input layout, which we are going to use, which basically it has a special property to capture the hint part towards itself from the edit text. So within this we are going to add a edit text to we are going to add a edit text. Please make sure to specify the id for the text input layout and the edit text accordingly, like I'm going to name it the name til for the name field, and then I'm going to add the field name for the field edit text, and then I'm going to specify its id should be relevant with its purpose. So for this I'm specifying name et. Similarly, I'm specifying maximum lines of input to be 1, and then I'm referring to the hint that I have just stored in the strings.xml file. As you can see in the design tab, one of the field is visible, and then we are copying the text input layout for the other three fields. Please make sure to add the relative input type relevant input type for the fields such as the email address and the password field. uh, like you can see in the video, maximum I have specified maximum lines to each of the three fields. Please do the same. Or and if you have a large input, please select the input type accordingly. You can choose to specify the margins, the padding as per your requirement. I'm going to go with the basic margins and basic padding, and also specify the ID for the button, because we are gonna add a, a click listener to this button, so that whenever it is clicked, we will do some action. We will do submit operation. Like I forgot to add the string resource for the sign up button. Well, I'm referring it now. Well, that's not an issue. For a tiny string which is not gonna change, you can specify and hard code those strings. Well, this is not a standard convention. Well, let's move this button to the center, and then we are going to make the text as bold and increase the font size. You can also specify elevation to make sure to make the button a little appealing whenever it is clicked. And now let's move on to the Java file, the functional part of this form. Well, first of all, first specify the variables, the instances of the edit text. We are gonna use three edit texts, so we are gonna name them accordingly. We are gonna name them mname, memail, mpassword for the edit text, and then we are gonna create the variables for the text input layout. Well, it has to be accordingly with the name. So for this, I'm going to use mname til to indicate that it's a text input layout for the name field. Similarly, for the email field and the password field, and then we have to specify a button. Well, then we will move on to specify a logger string. I call it the tag, and we are going to get a simple name from its class. Then we are going to create a inner class called the my text watcher, and this text watcher implements the interface text watcher, and it will automatically implement three methods. And for this project we are going to alter the functionality of after text change to method. Well, we have done the part. Let's refer to all those fields from the XML file. Let's specify the link. We have to typecast those IDs to edit text. As you can see on the screen, I'm referring to all those name, email, and password fields from the XML using their IDs. Similarly, for the text input layouts, we are going to refer to them using their IDs and then typecast to them accordingly. And similarly, we create a button, a private button, because we will have to specify on-click functionality to it. We will bound an on-click service to it. So this is what it looks like. Then we will make sure to add a on-click listener. Well, most of the work is done by the IDE. Just make sure to use Alt plus Enter shortcut key to insert the code automatically. And then I'm going to create a function called submit data. This method will be called whenever the button is clicked. The submit data will do some functionality, and for the simplicity, I'm going to check whether whenever this method is called, I'm just going to check to make sure that the data is valid. And if it is valid in all three fields, I'm going to just show a basic toast. Like first of all, let me check whether the name is valid or not. For this, I'm using a method validate name, and similarly for the method validate email, validate password. And if it is not valid, those functions will return a boolean value, and if it is not, then we are gonna return, because the data is invalid. So these are the three functions. Well, it is showing the error right now, but we will automatically make the IDE write those functions for us. Then we will simply we are then I'm simply gonna show a toast. Well, you can do whatever you want as per the requirement of your project. I'm keeping the things simple here, and then I'm gonna show a basic toast that says signed up successfully. Well, I forgot to insert the parentheses after the validate name, validate email, and validate password. If you forgot to add those parentheses, then it will understand that those are some variables that are missing. Please make sure to add all those parentheses and then declare those methods as a private and returning the boolean value. At the bottom, make sure to return true value because for the false condition will be in its body. So after all this is done, you will see that no errors are coming right now. Well, let's move on. Let's create a private variable for the view because that's what we'll be receiving from the main class. For this, I have specified those as private. Those views are private. I have added a private view. Then I specified a private constructor called my text watcher. It could be the name, whatever you specify. Please make sure the name matches the class name use matches the name of the private constructor, and then we will receive the view as argument, and then we are going to use this dot view equals view to specify the view in the current instance, and then method for the method validate name. We will make sure that we write it in the if condition, and first of all we are going to get the text from the name field and then and then converting it to the to string using the to string method, and then trimming the extra spaces in those strings, and then checking if the data received from the mname field is empty or not. And if it is empty, we are using its TIL, that is its text input layout, and then we are enabling those errors boolean.true, and we are gonna set the errors as uh, set the error, and then we have to specify the resource string that we have specified in the strings.xml file. So first of all we are gonna get the resources from the system, and then we are going to use the get string method, and then we are going to specify the id of the string, which is or dot string dot error name, because this is about the name field and we have to show the error related to the name field itself. So this will specify those errors, and as soon as the errors is encountered, we want to make sure that the current focus moves to the current field. So we are gonna create a new method called request focus, and then we are gonna pass the current view, which is the current edit text m name, and then this will make sure that that edit text is selected, and the user attention is acquired. Then we are going to return false because this method is not working as per our requirement, and if the input is correct and everything is okay, then we are going to disable the errors. Mname til dot set error enabled, we are going to set it to false. False can be written as a straight false, or you can specify a boolean dot false or boolean dot true. Well, it is up to you. And then we are going to write a method. We are going to automatically create a method request focus, and this method will check if view dot request focus, if the current view is not in the focus, then we are gonna use get window dot set soft input mode, and we are gonna use window manager to get the layout parameters, and make sure that always visible string is selected. Similarly, for the validate email, I have uh, written this method is validate email. This email, first of all, I'm extracting the data from the email field. I'm getting the text using get text method and then converting it to the string. I'm checking if the email is empty or if is valid email. Well, this is a method that I have to create to make sure that the current string matches the regular expression of a email. Well, we can use the pattern classes, the pattern class of Android, which is in the android.util package. So this is that function we'll specify in a minute, and then we are gonna do the same for the email TIL, the text input layout for the email. We are gonna set the error enable as true, and then we are gonna set the error by retrieving the string from the resource file, and then we are gonna return false because that string is not valid. Else we are gonna make sure that no error is visible because the string is valid outside this if block. Then I've created this method is valid email. Is valid email will return whether the email is valid or it is empty. It will check using is empty method whether the string has some characters or not. And then I'm gonna use the pattern class uh, from android.util package which and specify to the matcher that we are matching an email address and passing the string email and using matches function which makes sure that the current string matches the regular expression specified for the email address. Similarly, for the password field, I'm making sure that the length of the password is minimum of 8 characters. Well, that's easy, and you can do whatever you want the type of password to be. And after specifying all this, please make sure to specify correct TIL for the correct field, then for the corresponding field. The name TIL goes with the M name field, and the M password TIL goes with M password field. M email address TIL goes with M email field. So after this is done, we have to specify the method in the text watcher class, because after the text is written, we want to check whether it is valid or not. So we'll use a simple switch statement, use the view variable to get the ID of the view. So we're gonna check whether the case is for the name ET. Name ET is the ID specified in the XML layout file. And similarly for the password field and email field, we are going to validate the name, validate email, and validate the password using their validate methods, the corresponding validate methods, and then call in the break. Well, there is no need to specify the default method, so you can remove this, and then your work is mostly done. Add the text change to listener in the main function on the on create function. So make sure to add the text change listener to all those three fields. We create a new my text watcher and then pass in the field which is m name if in case of the name field, the email in case of email field, and m password in case of password field. Well, that is all there is to it in for this video, and your work is mostly done. You can now run your project and see for yourself this this project in action to specify the input type, because I'm mentioning it later. So uh, let's run this project and we will see what happens. Run it in the AVD, which is the virtual device manager. Let me just record the correct window. And now as you can see that as I write the data, it is the name is valid because the length is not 0. Similarly for the Similarly, for the email field, as I'm writing, the text is not valid, so it is showing me the error that it's an invalid email. Similarly, for the password, if the length is less than 8, it will show you an error, else it will not. Similarly, your work is done here. Now you can click on sign up button. The user can click on sign up button, and it will show you a simple toast which says that you have signed up successfully. That's the message I wrote for this project. Well, uh, that's all there is to it. To add the text watcher and using floating labels to create your login screens in the Android projects. So the work here is done. That is what we wanted to make in this video. So I hope you like this video. If you like my explanation, my workflow, please do write it in the comment section below, and do not forget to subscribe for more upcoming videos. I am an Android enthusiast as much as you are. So right now I'm in the process of upgrading my microphone, and from the next time I will try to vocally be clear and have some sound explanations. This is my first experiment on the Android videos, so I hope you like it. If you have any problem, do write it in the comment section below, and you can find the link for the repository link on the GitHub in the description box below. And once again, guys, thanks for watching, and do write in the comment section what you think about this, and did this method work for you, because it will, believe me. uh, well, you have been a very good audience for watching this video. Thanks for watching. Once again, do subscribe and click on like button, and do share with your friends and Android enthusiasts, and stay forever awesome. Thanks.